So good morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you are watching this video. So today we are going to explain our brief analysis of a streetcar named Desire by Tennessee Williams. So these are our group members. It consists of 4 persons. The first one is Natasya Faskadhini, then followed by Elfrisa Rismonita, Helena, Faustina, Trisunjata, and Lalita Tandayu.
All right, move to the first slide. I'm going to tell about the characters. The first is Blanche Dubois. Blanche is Stella's older sister, and she is actually a poor woman, but she also has a sexual tendency towards men. She looks like a fragile woman who thinks that her happiness lies in men. Her reputation in the society is not that good. She also has problems with her acceptance of her physical appearance. She is the victim of a rape by Stanley, her sister's husband. She is just an aged woman who struggled in living her bitter life. And the other character is Stella Kowalski. Stella is Blanche's little sister. She is also the wife of Stanley Kowalski. She looks like a woman who lives in a household that is far from perfect. There seems to be violence in her relationship with her husband. Her husband disturbs her relation with Blanche. Her frail heart can accept the fact that her husband Stanley is the perpetrator of the rape of her own older sister Blanche.
The next is Stanley Kowalski. Stanley is the passionate husband of Stella Kowalski. He is not an ideal husband that he seems to enjoy doing bad things. He is bad enough to abuse his wife. He hates Blanche and ruins her life. Even worse, that he rapes his own brother-in-law. Then Harold Mitchell, or Mitch. Mitch is a poker buddy and co-worker of Stanley. He is a more sensitive person. He looks like a guy who knows how to be polite. He has a complicated relationship with Blanche, and this is because he does not meet the criteria of Blanche's ideal type. Even though Blanche hurts him with her past, he still cares about Blanche.
Next is Eunice. Eunice is a friend of Stella. She is the wife of Steve. Her household life has a similarity with Stella's household life. Her husband also has an oppressive temper. And next is Alan. Alan is a man who is married to Blanche. He has a sexual perversion that ruins her relationship with Blanche. He ended up taking his own life. And next is Mr. Shep Hanley, a married man who is also a former sweeter of Blanche.
Next is Young Man. He is a teenage boy who collects newspapers. He gets unusual treatment from Blanche. This unusual treatment has something to do with Blanche's unhealthy sexual preoccupation with teenage boys. Steve Hubble. Steve is the husband of Eunice and a poker buddy of Stanley. He has a character that is almost the same as Stanley, a violent husband. Pablo. Pablo is a poker buddy of Stanley and also a friend of Steve and Mitch.
Another character is the Negro woman. She is the one who is sitting on the steps talking to Eunice in scene 1. And she also appears around the corner with a sequined bag which the prostitute had dropped on the walk in scene 10. And the doctor, he is the doctor who brings plans to the institution. He is like the embodiment of someone who plans things will over her salvation. And matron, she is the nurse who accompanies the doctor to bring plans to the institution.
And the Mexican woman. She is a vendor of funeral decoration who frightens Blanche by the words "Flores para los muertos, flores, flores." Then the supplement. He is a supplement Stanley works with. He is the source of Blanche's stories in the past.
Thank you for the explanation about the character. Next, we move to the setting of the story. We know that the story from Tennessee Williams with the title A Streetcar Named Desire. A Streetcar Named Desire takes place in French Quarter, New Orleans. If you can see, these are the illustration featured in the story. All of the action of A Streetcar Named Desire take place in an apartment on the first floor. From the story, we can find that the set is designed to the audience, and the audience can also see outside and observe characters on the street. Next, please. Okay, take A Streetcar Named Desire take place 2 years after the end of World War II in 1940s.
Thank you for the explanation about the setting. So we move to the conflicts in the stories. There are two conflicts which are external and internal conflicts. So I want to explain the external conflicts first. The first external conflict that we can find in the story is Miss Mitch did not want to marry Blanche because he found that Blanche lied to her about being an innocent woman. In fact, Mitch revealed that Blanche was not as straight as he thought according to her past involving in promiscuity. Then the second is Stanley disliked Blanche, so he kept on trying to find her flaws and past and tell everything to Stella and Mitch. He tried to tell everything to Stella about Blanche's past, but Stella did not perceive him. She was sure that Blanche was a kind sister, so Stella did not want to accuse her. The third is Stanley raped Blanche, which Stella did not believe and made Stella put her in a psychiatric hospital. This conflict is found in scene 9 after Stanley and Blanche argued with each other. It happened because Mitch felt that Blanche had taken over his role in his house. Mitch didn't Stanley didn't like if woman is on the higher position over him. Then Stanley told Stella to put her sister in a psychiatric hospital in order to avoid conflicts between them. Then the fourth conflict is Stanley abused Stella after playing poker and getting drunk because of the radio being turned on. Stanley hit Stella so that Blanche was surprised about what Stanley did to her sister. Then Blanche had faced a lot of death, the death of her husband, Alan, and her family. It affects her mental health according to her desperation. And the last one is Blanche was mad of Stella since Stella abandoned Belle Reef, a place where Blanche stayed and fought for. Stella lived in New Orleans, which is better than Bellerive. New Orleans is a cosmopolitan city and warm. Therefore, Blanche was jealous of her sister's life.
After the external conflict, I'm going to explain about the internal conflict. So the first internal conflict is Blanche refused to tell how old she is since she found that men would lose interest quickly toward older women. She was obsessed of being young, and it can be seen from some parts in the story where Blanche didn't want people to look at her with the lights on and didn't want to go out with Mitch when it was bright outside. She also needed people to keep on telling her that she looks good or beautiful, and she was anxious when Mitch asked her about her age. The second internal conflict is Blanche was too dependent on men. She sought self-protection from men too much that it destroyed her life and reputation back in Mississippi. It was stated in some parts of the story. For example, in Scene 9, page 38, where Blanche tells Mitch that she has had many intimacies with strangers and also the one with the 17-year-old teenager that caused her to leave the school in Mississippi. The third is Blanche is delusional. She doesn't want to admit the reality. She desires to live the life that she wanted until it made her insane. In scene 9, page 38, Blanche says that she doesn't want realism, she wants magic, and that she tells what ought to be truth and not the truth itself. In the end of the story, it was also showed that Blanche kept her delusions by telling Stanley all about it, but Stanley knew that all she said was a lie in scene 10, page 40. And the last internal conflict is Stanley wants to feel superior that he kept showing his tough side. For example, in scene 8, page 35, where Stanley says that every man is a king and that he's the king in here. There were also parts when he told his friends that he was the leader and that they should obey him. Okay, so that's all about a streetcar named Desire from our group, and thank you for the attention.